Hi friends, Father Carey here, and this is another Holy Spirit moment. This one with a reminder that you and I are humans, not angels. That may strike you as a strange thing to say and an obvious thing to say because, of course, we're humans. But I say it because it seems to me that we live in a culture that prizes perfectionism, whether one is religious or whether one is secular. If one is secular, one is constantly being encouraged to climb to the top of whatever ladder it is that one wants to climb up. One needs to grab the brass ring of success. One needs to be the best one can possibly be. And that often means exceeding what a human is capable of. If one is religious, particularly if one is Christian, one may have heard over and over and over again that we are fallen creatures who need to purify ourselves as best we can with God's grace, that we need to rise above our mere animal instincts, that we need to be angels on earth. That too is impossible. And to strive for that brass ring or to strive to be an angel on earth if one is of a religious mind is to do a violence to oneself, is to do a violence of what it means to be human. I can think of no better person to describe the pitfall of trying to be an angel rather than a human than the 17th century poet John Donne. Donne, of course, is not just an exquisite poet, he's also an Anglican priest. And in sermon after sermon, you find him flagellating himself because he's not superhuman, because he's not angelic. I could point to any number of rather tedious, in all honesty, passages in his sermons, but one that comes to mind immediately and that you may be familiar with is this. It's from a 1626 homily that he delivered at a funeral, no less. This is what Donne says, describing what happens when he tries to pray. I throw myself down in my chamber, and I call in and invite God and his angels thither. And when they are there, I ignore God and his angels for the noise of a fly, for the rattling of a coach, for the whining of a door. I talk on, and sometimes I find that I forgot what it was I was talking about. A memory of yesterday's pleasures, a fear of tomorrow's dangers, a straw under my knee, a noise in mine ear, a light in mine eye, anything, a nothing, a fancy, a chimera in my brain, troubles me in my prayer. We've all experienced that, haven't we? We've all experienced being distracted in prayer, that one activity in which we truly do hope to be as mindful as we possibly can be in order to hear God's voice. That's just part of what it means to be a human being, my friends. We are creatures who are capable of concentration and capable of mindfulness, but we are also more than capable of being distracted. And what should we do when that happens? Should we mea culpa, mea maxima culpa ourselves? Or should we say, I will try next time to be a bit more mindful. Forgive me, God. I'm not perfect. I'm just a human. Well, John Donne does the mea culpa, and he expresses it in what I must say is an exquisitely beautiful, but also to me exquisitely horrifying poem. It's one of his so-called holy sonnets. You're probably familiar with it too. He writes, "Batter my heart, three-personed God, for you as yet but knock, breathe, shine, and seek to mend. That I may rise and stand, overthrow me, and bend your force to break, blow, burn, and make me new. Three-person God, it's not enough for you to cajole me towards you. You're going to have to grab me by the throat and yank me into you. Only then will I not be distracted. Only then will I rise above my mere fallen humanness." But it seems to me that in our heart of hearts, my friends, even though at times of despair or melancholy we might pray something similar to what Donne has just written, we don't really want that. We want to come to God freely, of our own volition, as a human being, not as an angel or not as something less than a human being too. We are what we are. God made us what we are. And in order to honor that gift of humanness, we need to embrace it and appreciate it for what it is. In a letter that John Donne wrote, he seems to recognize this. And it is this that makes me love him so, because like so many of us, he's up and down in his estimation of himself, isn't he? At one moment, he despises himself for not being more angelic, but at another moment, as in the one I'm about to share with you, he recognizes that being human, he cannot be and should not desire to be angelic. This is what he writes. Our nature, our human nature, our nature is meteoric. We respect because we partake of both earth and heaven. For as our bodies glorified shall be capable of spiritual joy, so our souls submerged in these bodies are allowed to partake of earthly pleasure. He recognizes that we are, if you will, amphibious creatures. That's what he means by calling us meteors. Not that we shoot into the heavens, but that we are in the heavens, but also made of matter. We have that within us, which is eternal, but we also have that within us, which is mortal and earthbound. And that's precisely what makes us human. We should celebrate both. We should celebrate our spiritual natures, but we should also not feel guilty or fallen if we partake in earthly pleasures, those pleasures which are most in keeping with our embodied state. He says something else that really strikes me. If we are able to recognize that we are meteors, that we are composites, that we are amphibians, that we are human and not angels, then we will discover that there is genuine greatness in us. In one of his meditations, one of his devotions, he writes this: man consists of more pieces, more parts than the world. And if those pieces were extended and stretched out in man as they are in the world, man would be the giant and the world the dwarf. There is within us God-like qualities to love, to reason, to create, to compassionate, to love, to forgive, to pity. And these qualities, again, human, God-like, but not divine, are inside us. And if we could just recognize that they are there, our humanity would flourish. Our humanity would expand. It would be greater than the entire encompass of the physical world. To be human is not to be fallen. To be human is not to be perfect. To be human is to be like a meteor, like a meteor. So how should we live? Of course, we should always strive to be more human. We should always strive to bring the potential godlike qualities that we have to fruition. But we should never strive to be more than we are, because when we do that, we both set ourselves up for failure, and I think we dishonor the very nature that God has given us. The brass ring is not something that will fulfill us. Striving to be angelic when we are human will not fulfill us. Both of those enterprises, both of those lusts, because that's what they are, for perfection, are destructive, not only to ourselves, but most likely to those people who are around us as well. An ancient bit of wisdom that comes from old Koheleth in Ecclesiastes, I think gives us the best advice on how to embrace the gift of humanness and to be content with it. This is what Ecclesiastes tells us. Therefore I praise joy, because there's nothing better for mortals under the sun than to eat and drink and to be joyful. This will accompany them in their toil through the limited days of life God gives them under the sun. Pray as best you can. Be joyful as best you can. Be a human as best you can. And be content with that. That's ultimately, it seems to me, what it's all about. I'm Father Carey, and this has been another Holy Spirit moment. Thank you so much for watching. If you are of a mind, I invite you to subscribe. And at any rate, I'll see you again real soon. Thank you. Bye-bye, and God bless.